Welcome back to Let's Talk Software Security. My name is 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗧, founder and CEO of ArmorCode, and I'm excited to be hosting the show this week. With us today is Mithun Rajoor, Head of Application Security and Infrastructure Vulnerability Management at S&P Global. Welcome, Mithun.
Yeah, thanks, Nikhil. Thanks for having me here today.
Hey, Mithun, I know you have been doing a lot of good work at security at global organizations. Can you share a bit about your journey in security and where is your focus today?
I think security, if you look at the plain vanilla development in IT industry, which used to be in the past, you used to have the waterfall model and people used to design, code, test and deploy. But that came the new agile framework, and the development started evolving as agile evolved. And in the traditional security model, people used to focus on security operations center, like SOC for visibility, and it even started evolving, in placing security controls across firewalls and IDS and IPS. So traditional focus was on the infrastructure at that point of time. However, over a journey of time, when cloud came into picture, I think the elasticity and agility what cloud provides, and cloud is almost everything in cloud is code. So application security started picking up a lot of momentum. And with that, shift left is a buzzword and a culture that all the organization embrace. And people started modernizing their applications from monolithic to microservices. So that's another part of journey, because cloud again came up with a lot of services where we can break in for optimization of cost or agility of the applications. And then eventually people started evolving towards the large language model. That's it pretty much existed in the past. Like, it's not like we started to know about it a quarter or 6 months ago. So that evolution is currently in the spotlight. So again, now security researchers, the policy writers are trying to do enough research to see how can we secure the large language models, or also called as the alternative of generative AI as a platform. So that's how there is a phased approach and a phased journey. But like, these are the transformation what I can envision.
Absolutely. No, you are a big visionary here, and you're one of the most sought after experts in application security and infrastructure vulnerability management worldwide. And I know you have been jet setting worldwide, attending and advising various global organizations on application security and infrastructure. So can you share top 3 challenges you see in the application security and vulnerability management space?
I have many, but let's try to restrict it to top 3. Application and infrastructure security is quite a chaos, right? It's pretty overwhelming with the number of alerts and tools that we have in the market. Security has pretty much evolved. Now the traditional security involves development and operations to work hand in hand. So it's not like, security team sitting outside the SDLC come and do their job. It doesn't work that anywhere. So now a more of like a collaboration approach, partnership approach between the security dev and ops work. And that's why we have the nomenclature of DevSec and ops. So today the incentives are oppositely aligned, right? Developers are incentivized to release software faster, and security is concerned on and incentivized on delivering the secure code. So it's a trade-off. So that's another problem that we have. And security is way outnumbered when you compare the developers, right? For every security person in the company, I think the traditional organizations are pretty much dealing with 1:200 or 1:300 ratio. So that's pretty much having a large impact. And the security companies have now started coming up with the program culture, of security champions. And a lot of teams and people have spoken about security champions. I think what really makes an organizational different is with a program context, and how do you apply in your daily agile use cases. So I think these are the three problems, at least talking from a software development perspective. Again, like infrastructure has its own problems, and so does cloud and the new LLM models has its own set of problems. I think we can pretty much talk that in detail. But these are the problems that we have in the app and infrastructure space.
No, thanks for sharing. And S&P is pretty large, so just give some high level understanding of how big is the S&P environment, what kind of complexity do you have, and how are you solving this problem today?
Yeah, I think one of the problems is when a company tries to acquire another organization, or even typically so-called merger, eventually what happens is, like, security team loses visibility. So obviously visibility is a lot of concern. So your SOC will not be able to visualize attacks, because like you have a merged organization with multiple SOC, multiple processes, multiple CERT runbooks. So it's basically stand for Cyber Incident Response Team Runbook. And there's a lot of volumetric kind of a thing when we talk about like mergers and acquisition. So there are a lot of tools, like there is redundant capabilities and redundant tools when we do M&As. So what we started doing is like obviously standardization is a key important thing. Like obviously your organization need to have comprehensive standards, cybersecurity standards. That's the first thing that you got to solve, and ensure that the organization is committing to a standard with an acceptable, suitable time, and consolidation of the tool set that you have. And how do you kind of orchestrate the data in that tool set into a single control plane? So we use ArmorCode. One such example, a pretty unique platform which correlates application, cloud, infra, and intelligence feed, and it's pretty much acting as a technology that's been built in to marry all the tools, if you will. So and what is unique about it is ArmorCode has taken the people first approach to help streamline and automate and govern the policies. So your CISOs, your risk officers, your auditors are pretty much aware what's the threat landscape and how are you trying to solve. In addition to that, I think the tooling integration makes a lot of difference. I think oddly, when I last checked, we have 200 plus integrations, and hopefully your team could help us to get to a state where every security tool has an integration with ArmorCode, and we can make some data sense out of it.
No, absolutely. And, that's the audacious goal, is to have this, integration grow from 200 to 500 to 1000 and different things. And you brought up a very good point that during the M&As, I remember back in the day, you were primarily responsible for application, but then you also got responsibility for the infrastructure. And tool rationalization is a great way to, see the value and getting correlated information between application and infrastructure. Now, as you mentioned that, LLM has been there, and of course at ArmorCode, we are looking to AI and LLM, but can you just share in general, like how do you think AI and LLM will be impacting application security and infrastructure security?
I think it impacts both the areas, right? Like, I mean, if you look at LLM, so obviously in order to implement an LLM, you got to have a native model or a native service provider, which allows you to host the model. So let's talk about the app development piece first, and how to secure the app piece of LLM. And then we'll talk about the infrastructure and the native services. So the application development piece, I think obviously the standard framework the industry is following. There are many set of framework, but at least the standard what I've been following is try to stick to the OWASP application development, application security principles. There's a top 10 project which OWASP pretty significantly recommends. And OWASP also has published testing guidelines for LLM. There's top 10 guidelines for how to secure LLM. There are top 10 issues that we have in the space, which are ranked based on criticality. Couple of things that immediately come to my mind is prompt injection. That's a pretty new thing that's coming out of LLM because obviously LLM issue a prompt if you have a chat interface, and what impact can it lead to. The other ones are like data tampering based tests. It covers a lot of detail. So again, the application resiliency related to it can be sorted out by at least benchmarking the framework. Again, like the policy makers and the standard makers will evolve over a period of time, but this is a stopgap solution, what we have in place. Now, talking about the infrastructure, so infrastructure of LLM, again, I would talk the language of the cloud native services. If you're talking about AWS, then you have the top use services is the Amazon Bedrock and Amazon SageMaker. I think Titan also is previewed now. Like that's another service that people are inclining towards too. And then you have the OpenAI in Azure. Like Microsoft is trying to stack its OpenAI content in multiple ways, like GitHub. We have GitHub Copilots. We have Copilot search with Bing. And if you're traditionally deploying the models, then you have the OpenAI Azure. On the similar grounds, like Google has like Bard and Gemini. So, these are service providers which offer you LLM. But again, at the same time, like you got to have the understanding of the implementation of how these LLM models are deployed and how are you trying to consume services. So simple example, like AWS Bedrock, if you talk about it, like, AWS manages the Bedrock account. They also have the escrow account, like I think, which was published in reInvent. So we did not know about it. Like, and when we started looking into the videos, we kind of figured out like, okay, there's an abstraction of what a service provider is trying to give you. On top of that, they're exposing an API, and that API will act as an entry point to consume the LLM. But behind the scenes, there is infrastructure that you got to take care, and that's something one should be thoughtful about in working with your engineering and the security architecture teams to resolve this issue and ensure that enough hardening is performed. I know I got into technicality of it, but I think one of the important discussion when it comes to LLM is to understand how the mechanics work. And eventually we can get into the details of how we can secure it.
Yeah, and this is what I like about you, Mithun, is that you can be at 50,000 feet in presenting to the CEOs of the global organization and all the way get into the bits and bytes at the LLM. And this is, I love our partnership. This is as we are working because, you want to be agnostic, whether it is the Azure or GitHub or AWS. And this is where the ArmorCode governance layer comes in, because at the end of the day, you will do the architecture and all, but, and you may have multi-cloud or multi-LLM strategy at the end of the day, and that OAS project that you're talking about, and ArmorCode can ingest those findings and help you with the workflow and making sure that the right service level agreements are done. And it also makes it agnostic because you never know which LLM technology will win the race. And so thanks for your partnership and feedback on that. And in today's world, there is no kind of conversation complete until we use the buzzword supply chain security or product security, and these are very tied together. So now, if you could share a little bit on your take on the supply chain security, product security in terms of S&P, and also, how ArmorCode is helping you on that front.
Yeah, I think on the supply chain, we see a lot of simulations. So let me try to explain supply chain, and then we'll get into the technical details of it. Like basically, supply chain is, you're trying to go against the customer, resellers or wars, or the customer vendors, if you will. Like let's say if a company A is using product B, you're trying to attack product B to infiltrate company A data, if you will. So that's a pretty technique of supply chain. And when it comes to product development, again, every vendor that an organization consume is obviously a product, and the way they expose their products is in terms of like binary if they ship it to clients, APIs if the clients are consuming it, or workflow solutions if the client is trying to use them for financial purposes. So what the threat actor or adversary are doing is they're trying to infiltrate that use case in terms of exploiting them through phishing attempts, or exploiting them through multiple impersonation attempts that exist on the vendor products. So that's how supply chain, is pretty easily, a mode or a use case that an adversary can get hold of an organizational data set. But when you talk about like how ArmorCode is helping, because ArmorCode has got a threat intelligence feed, so that intel can bring a lot of like threat feeds in your dashboard. You can filter it, you can customize it, and what it leads to ultimately is, let's say if the war or the resellers are impacted, we are getting that feed, and if we are consuming their products, or let's say we are providing services to the products, we do the vulnerability profile, and this is the beauty of it, right? Like, I mean, orchestrating all the tools and getting the data set so that you don't have to run beyond 100 Excel sheets trying to see like where is my data and what is correlating to what. I think that digitalization is in place, and that makes it unique, and that's how I wouldn't say we are able to solve the problem. At least we are able to get the intel and necessary action items that we are trying to define.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the day 100% problems are solved, then you and I will be like out of jobs. And then security is it's a very complicated thing, but it's all about, if we can reduce the 90% of the noise. So that's the thing which is kind of makes it very powerful. But hey, thanks a lot, Mithun. Time flies. I just noticed that we are at the end of the show here. But before we wrap up here, I would love to ask, like, just tell one thing about yourself that you don't think so the world knows, and will be surprised to know about you.
That's it's a very tricky question. One thing about me that the world doesn't know, and at least the people who know me, they pretty much know everything. I try to keep things in transparency. Yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah. No, I think so. One thing I would love to do is, like, you like to give back. You've been a tremendous author of the Purple Book community. I've been imparting knowledge, and we are looking forward for the next version or enhancement. We'd love to hear about your LLM insights and share with the broader thing. So, again, with that said, thanks a lot again for sharing your experiences, and thanks a lot, Mithun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Nikhil, for having me. And I look forward to contribute on whatever I can to Purple Book from a perspective of LLM. So looking forward, for more to come.
All right. Thank you.